Hello, welcome to Local Anaesthetic Podcast, your weekly injection of mind-numbing local news, otherwise known, of course, as LA Podcast. And this is episode 314 now. We're recording on the 23rd of May on a Saturday afternoon, and I am joined, as always, by the freshly sheared Rob. You might want to explain what I mean by that.
Yeah, what happened, Alex? I was caught short in a field. I was leaving myself in a bush, and a farmer came up to me and mistook me for a sheep and attacked me with his shears. I am now completely hairless over the entirety of my body.
Right.
That's not true. My wife has very kindly given me a haircut because I was looking slightly unkempt.
And of course, whereas I, Rob, have taken the more, as you know, risky procedure of since lockdown, having cut my own hair, not once, not twice, but 3 times, as you can see.
It's still looking really good, Alex. I'm quite surprised. Do you think this will continue?
Well, about a week ago, I did a scissor cut on it on the top. No. I'm very much looking forward to getting back to the barber when I can. It's more time. It takes so much time, and it's stressful. And what I like about going to the barbers is, 20 minutes. In and out.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But the trouble is, it would save me a lot of money. That's the other thing, if I could. Because how often did you visit the barbers, Rob, when the barbers were open?
Once every 4 weeks.
Yeah, and I was once every 3-4 weeks. And it adds up. It
does. And to be honest, I like it. I enjoy it. I find it quite a relaxing experience. And they usually wash the hair as well, and then they give you a head massage as well.
Oh, did they? I never got any of that. I never got my hair washed.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, you get offered drinks at mine, so you can have a beer or you can have a bottle of water.
I mean, you get offered to do it, but I mean, I don't want my hair. How much was yours costing with the hair wash?
Mine, well, they usually charge 15, but I tend to tip them, so it's probably about 17, 18.
Yeah, probably same here, and I'm not getting the hair wash. You see?
Yeah, see, that's what. See, Alex, that's why you need to come into the suburbs.
I don't want some burly man massaging my head.
Make of that what you will.
Right, Rob, is there any news before we get on with these news stories? And by the way, I just want to tell you, Rob, I have some local news stories from local British papers.
Fucking hell. I've got one. Yeah, I must admit. I've gone out of country, but there is one or two. So the only thing I just want to draw people's attention to, so Kyber very kindly posted on the Facebook page to say, this ad has shown up in my Instagram feeds. Is it Eagle Heights branching out into an inner city version of their park experience? And it's an advert it's from Secret London for a big cat murder mystery.
I'm sure Eagle Heights got something to do with it, yeah. So what the fuck is that?
Yeah, it doesn't really say any more than that, unfortunately. So I'm just...
How does it work in current times?
Well, I'm assuming this is probably... Well, actually, that's a good point. When was this post... So he only posted this about just over a week ago, so I'm just concerned whether they're still advertising this.
Kyber, can you go on it for us and tell us what happens? I reckon you get indoctrinated in some sort of cult and you're never seen again.
I am concerned that maybe some I'm not going to make any allegation, but some wildlife park is basically just setting a big cat free in central London, and you have to try and track it down. It's a very immersive...
I mean, because if you think about it, what the fuck is a murder mystery big cat experience? Here we go. The Big Cat Murder Mystery. £8. It's not very much.
No. That seems alarmingly cheap.
Ticket for one device, so they're doing it remotely. To the Big Cat Murder Mystery, an online-themed theatrical experience. Event highlights, Rob, include 90-minute themed theatrical experience. 6 actors leading you around a Wynnewood County crime scene. Have I said that right? Wynnewood? W-Y-N-N-E Wood.
Alex, Wynnewood is Tiger King. That's where Tiger King is set.
Oh my God.
That's the town.
Which you will investigate with the help of clues and witness statements, live music tributes and quizzes. But isn't Wynnewood County in the US? Oh, right. Is it US, is it? Right, okay.
Yeah.
So, 90 minutes, location from your home. I'm going to tell you the suspects and give you the description. Okay?
Okay.
Actually, I'll give you the description first. Welcome to Wynnewood County. We've all seen the documentary. You all know what's happened here in the past. Exotic animals, drugs, more drugs, drive-by mattress shootings and sardine oil. And there's been an arson attack at the new zoo. Due to COVID-19, the sheriff is having to proceed with the investigation completely online, and he needs your help to solve the case. We could do this, Rob, because we are Woodland Murder Detectives.
Of course.
Over the course of 90 minutes, you'll have to listen to the suspect's statements and bickering, find out where everyone was when the fire broke out and figure out the culprit's motive, etc., etc. And the suspects are Corrali, the cult leader with 7 wives, in business with his old enemy, tensions have risen. Bobby, the park hand, a hard worker but exploited by the zoo owners. World-famous country music star Billy J with a checkered past. Dolores, a lover of animals, her history is squeaky clean, according to her records. And Piper, the infamous documentary maker, says he doesn't interfere with the subject. So it sounds, Rob, firmly tongue-in-cheek. And of course, it moves us nicely on to the fact that you have now watched all of Tiger King. Thoughts? Exactly.
Yeah. I've never watched, with the exception of maybe a few characters, and I think mainly these are the staff who actually worked for Joe Exotic. This poor man, I believe she identifies as a man, but in the documentary she was referred to as she, who obviously had her arm ripped off.
Oh, does she identify as a man?
Yeah, this was only... So, you mentioned... So, we were talking before the podcast, but basically in the subsequent catch-up, they have an interview with her, and she says that she identifies as a man, but throughout the entire documentary, is referred to as she.
I see. You see, what's interesting to me, Rob, first of all, my observations were this: every time I watched an episode, I felt like I'd just eaten a dirty takeaway.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I felt like I had to go and wash afterwards. Second, I was speechless throughout all of it. It was like watching South Park, but something that even those writers couldn't come up with. And then my last observation, I guess, was that I don't know if you had this impression when you watched it, but I was actually taken aback by the fact that this area really out in the sticks was not the kind of place I associated to be this sort of rather tolerant place for a homosexual zoo owner. I thought that would be a very, very intolerant place to that kind of stuff, but it really was a case of anything goes.
Well, this is why I'd encourage you to watch the follow-up episode, because the documentary maker, whose name currently escapes me, was saying that apparently this particular part of Oklahoma is very anti-gay. This isn't, this is redneck country. This is not a progressive part of the state of Oklahoma.
So how did he get away with it then, Joe Exotic?
I'm assuming because people just like going to the park, and so he was given a free pass. It's amazing what people, amazing what concessions people will make if they had the opportunity to play with a tiger.
But I think it just gave me more of a depth and breadth of understanding of America, because I don't know, that isn't your typical archetypal stereotype. Homosexual redneck gun-toting zoo owner is not the kind of thing you normally see reflected in culture, and so that was great to see. Anyway, Rob, if there's no more news, as we're nearly 10 minutes in, I say we get on with this.
Absolutely.
Right, so Rob, I will get on to the local news stories, but I've just got 2 kind of updates. Now, well, kind of updates. You remember the story we had about the German zoo owner who was worried, basically saying that because of the current conditions, no money coming in, they're going to have to feed animals to each other. Well,
of course. This
is a similarly themed story from the traitorous Guardian, Rob, who have just become even more traitorous, because as you know, Rob, they've clearly got an agenda against Dominic Cummings, who of course has behaved impeccably, and it's just out of order that they're trying to bring this good man down. Dominic Cummings is surely the embodiment of somebody decent. God, he's such an arsehole, Rob.
Yeah, he really is.
Wouldn't it be great if he goes?
Yes, but Boris is... So we're recording this on the 23rd of May, and as we speak, obviously, it's been discovered that he broke a lockdown by driving, I think, at 260 miles to visit his parents, I believe.
To Durham. But he claims, but he gave an interview kind of outside of his house where he's yelling at all the reporters to socially distance and get away from him while he's loading bikes into the back of his car. And he said that he didn't care about what looked good and he was doing the right thing for him and his family. He's looking after his kid, all the rest of it. But somebody phoned into the radio, I was listening earlier, LBC, and they just said, but wasn't Dominic Cummings the one who came up with the slogan, "Stay Home"? Anyway, it would just be great if he gets jettisoned off, because how will the government cope without him? It could just be the beginning of the end for this. Because I've never seen a more untalented bunch of people in my life, Rob. Loads of them look like, whenever I see Dominic Raab up at that podium or Matt Hancock, all I see frightened schoolboys giving sort of, in a debate society at, I don't know, their sixth form college. They just look completely out of their depth. Yeah,
I completely agree. They look like rabbits in the headlights. Can I just say that Dominic Cummings, and I know we don't use this word a lot on the podcast, but I do think he's a genuine cunt.
Absolutely. Rob, we've kind of gone off tangent again. This is from the Traitorous Guardian, from their environment department. It's not the happiest story, I just thought I should cover it. Millions of US farm animals, Rob, to be culled by suffocation, drowning and shooting. The closure of meat plants due to coronavirus means depopulation of hens and pigs with methods experts say are inhumane, despite unprecedented demand at food banks. And so far, more than 10 million hens are estimated to have been culled. The majority will have been smothered by a water-based foam similar to firefighting foam, a method that animal welfare groups are calling inhumane.
Alex, that's horrific.
And other methods include gassing, shooting, anaesthetic overdose, or blunt force trauma. So I will move on from that story, but I just thought I'd let you know. That is just...
gruesome. Absolutely gruesome. By the way, that last sentence, is that the episode title?
I haven't got it up on the screen, but I think it could well be.
Yeah, I think it might be.
Another bit of news, Rob, world-related news. I just thought I'd check in with North Korea. This is from the 22nd of May from the Daily Telegraph. North Korean regime finally admits that Kim Jong-un cannot magically bend time and space.
Well, I have to say, I, for one, am disappointed.
Yes, so the official newspaper of North Korea has denied that the regime's leader can magically bend time and space, putting to bed a long tradition used to idolise the mystical powers of Kim Jong-un and former leader Kim Jong-il. In the latest sign that the secretive regime is turning away from myth-making about its leaders, the Rodong Sinum newspaper this week denied that the Kim family are masters of Chukjibeop, I think it is, a method of folding space and travelling great distances in a short period of time. It is one of the myths that's been used by the North to deify its leaders. The newspaper, the organ of the North ruling party, said in realistic terms, a person cannot suddenly appear and disappear by folding space. Because in the past it had been claimed that he could do this.
Right. I mean, I suppose in some ways that's quite a substantial step to say that he isn't able to do this. Yeah.
Well...
I mean, this is the same regime that I think, I can't remember whether it was him or his father that claimed that obviously he had a round of golf, and I think it was his father scored 5 holes in one round of golf.
I have to say that I would not be well equipped to be a world leader of a powerful nation, because if I was, I think I would shoot first and ask questions later. North Korea is one of the places that I would have just gone into without hesitation and just wiped out that regime. But I know that you can't do that, presumably, because of China.
Yeah, and also I think it's not just... I mean, China's a big part of this, but I think you can then destabilise all the surrounding countries by doing that. Because...
I'm aware of that, but they are just... But, Robert, it's going to... In years to come, that's going to be one of the stains on human consciousness.
Yeah.
And what goes on in that country. I mean, it's absolutely... Okay, I would at least have him assassinated then, covertly. I'd send you in, Rob. In your honey monster costume.
I mean, I'm not sure how covert that would be. just can you imagine just a man turning up at the demilitarized zone just in a honey monster costume?
Yeah, and I think that'd probably be the last I'd ever see you, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, I suspect it would. Yeah.
I'd just love to see that headline: honey monster shot on a border of North Korea. Shot dead.
I think that would certainly reach a few headlines, if nothing else.
Did the honey monster have a catchphrase? I mean, I know I'm asking the expert. Was it?
I've no idea.
I think it was something like "Ho ho ho, honey monster." Was it? Or ho ho ho. What's it called?
Ho ho ho, I'm the honey monster.
What? No, what's the cereal called? Sugar Puffs.
Sugar Puffs.
There must be a slogan for Sugar Puffs.
Let's have a look. Hang on.
We don't care about your teeth.
Can I just stand by the way? I can't stand Sugar Puffs. I think they're really quite repulsive.
Yeah, I haven't had them in many years. What cereal do you eat, Rob?
At the moment, I'm on shredded wheat.
Okay.
But I like to mix up, Alex, you know. Okay. Apparently the slogan used to be, "You'll go monster mad for the honey."
That was what you used to shout at people.
Come and get my honey.
Right, Rob. Local news stories. I believe this is the first ever time we've reported from this paper. And this is always massive for us when we report from a paper, a UK-based paper that we've never featured, local newspaper, because we've been going for 313 episodes. This is episode 314. So that's quite an achievement.
It is.
Please tell me we haven't used it. I'm sure we haven't. It's from the Grimsby Live.
Not to the best of my knowledge, no. That doesn't ring any bells.
I don't think we ever have. It's a great story, Rob. It's by Corey Bedford, who is their live news reporter, whatever that means, from the 19th of May. Police investigate semi-naked shopper who slut drops, in quotes, in Tesco before rubbing himself in hand sanitizer.
That's not a phrase I'm familiar with. Slut drops?
I'm not familiar with it either, but and it doesn't actually explain it in the story, but I believe that we will be able to make a sort of we'll be able to make an educated guess. Police are investigating reports of indecent exposure at a Tesco in Cleethorpes after a video showed a man dancing in only his pants and trying to scan his backside on a checkout. I think a slut drop could be just where you lower your underwear.
I think that...
Should we look it up? What is... I mean, I could get in trouble here. What is...
I was about to say, that's a very risky Google.
Risky Google is a good name for a sort of, I don't know, novelty band.
It is.
Okay, it is a term used to describe a popular dirty dancing move. To pull it off, you bend the knees in a standing position and begin to lower yourself downward, so, and you gyrate, one of those things. So he must have done that in the process. The man shocked staff and shoppers when he walked into Tesco Express on Grimsby Road, semi-naked, before cavorting and fondling himself, Rob.
Right. I mean, I don't know why. There's something... Because it's a Tesco Extra, a Tesco Express makes it even more... lewd.
This would never happen in a regular Tesco.
Well, it's the fact it's a small scale shop. Do you know what I mean? And so maybe more people would have been privy to it.
During the incident in the Cleethorpes store, the man was seen slut dropping and rubbing himself with hand sanitizer. He later asked the woman filming the encounter if she would pay for his shopping and was told she would if he pulled down his underwear, which he quickly did. He then also tried to scan his backside on the checkout, egged on by friends.
I'm assuming this man was intoxicated.
The man is understood to have been under the influence of alcohol.
There we go. Yeah, that makes sense.
He came into the store with a group of friends, taking off his clothes and leaving them outside the store. The man then grabbed some things and headed to the counter, while his pals were cheering him on. After the items were paid for, the group refused to leave the store. Humberside police have confirmed they're investigating, and Tesco appealed for people to respect its staff, key workers, during the lockdown. A spokesperson for Tesco said, "We're assisting police with their inquiries after a small group of people refused to leave our Grimsby Road Express store on Saturday. We ask that everyone is respectful to our colleagues and customers, and we do not tolerate any kind of abusive behaviour." I mean, I'm looking at pictures of him, which I don't suggest you go and look at. I mean, probably what you'd expect from a sort of Grimsby local. He's in a pair of nothing else but a pair of black underpants and socks. I can see him doing these dancing moves and also doing handstands in the middle of the store.
Oh, God.
Can I just say, Rob, that what I would have liked is if he'd lowered his pants and just had a post-it note on his genitals saying, "Every little helps." Okay, Rob, you got some stories for us. Before you do, you mentioned to me off air before, because I meant to ask you actually, and I never did, that you've been working so hard recently that you decided to treat yourself, spend some cash, support the British economy. So I wondered, Rob, what did you purchase? I mean, if you want to tell me.
Yeah, I don't mind talking about it. So I think I've mentioned on this podcast many times I've basically accrued quite a lot of overtime, and I don't often treat myself. And basically So I bought some bits and pieces for my wife's birthday, which is on Monday the 25th. And after that, there was some money left over, so I decided to get some stuff for myself. And I don't know, I mean, these might be... So basically, what I bought for myself was a new G-Shock watch. I've had a lot of G-Shocks in the past. This is my third now. But it's slightly more expensive because I thought I'd treat myself. I also bought myself...
Get on with it. A G-Shock watch. What's the second thing?
A Toronto Blue Jays hoodie, and a monograph of the artist Anthony Gormley, which is a retrospective of his work, which was quite costly.
Sounds like an Alan Partridge goodie bag. They're a very random collection of items.
Things...
You could go to, what was the artist called?
Anthony Gormley.
When lockdown is over, you can go to an Anthony Gormley exhibition wearing your Toronto Blue Jays hoodie and your G-Shock watch.
Well, I can't go to his exhibition because it closed at the RA back in December, but it was very good, nevertheless.
Right, your stories, Rob.
Anyway, right, now the first story Alex and I spoke about before the podcast, because this has been covered in numerous places. We both picked up this story, but Alex has very kindly let me feature it, and it's such a fantastic story. So this is from the Traitorous Guardian. It is from the 18th of May, and the headline: South Korean football team apologises for using sex dolls to fill stands.
It still gets me every fucking time, this. It's absolutely brilliant, this story, whichever way you look at it.
And it's one of those you just thought, who in their right mind thought that this was a good idea?
Yeah, but they claim they do. Yeah, anyway, let's get into the story.
Yeah. So, a professional football team in South Korea has apologised after mannequins it used as substitute fans during a match at the weekend turned out to be sex dolls. And I love the fact, turned out to be sex dolls. Surely they knew at the point of putting those in the stadium, they were sex dolls.
Well, look, when you see pictures of them as well, they're all women.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, they are very ample-breasted.
Yep.
I mean, they are proper they're high grade. They're not like blow up, we should say. They're high grade, sort of whatever they're made out of, silicone sort of sex dolls.
Yeah.
But they quite clearly are that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, also, I am assuming, and I don't know, I've never purchased one of these, but I'm assuming they would have come naked as well.
I enjoy the fact, Rob, that you clarified that with you've never purchased one of these.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of speculation on the Facebook group, and if you can please stop it now. I've never purchased one of these, and I have no, I now spent all my money on the bits.
G-Shock watch. Yeah,
I've got nothing left. Yeah,
I just love the idea that the delivery door, the doorbell rings. You open the door, there's a delivery guy outside hauling in this giant crate with this sex doll in it, and like says like, "What you bought?" And you're just like, "Oh yeah, I've just bought a sex doll."
Yeah, but that's a good point. Surely, is the accountant of this poor football club sort of sitting there and realising that he's got an invoice for 300 sex dolls? It's like,
which, by the way, aren't
who's
cheap.
For this?
Because we've covered this before.
We know this. Yeah.
I'm a bit, look, just on a slightly related note, well, it is related. When football eventually restarts behind closed doors, if it does, let's say it does, the biggest problem is going to be the lack of crowd noise. And there must be a way that they can simulate it. There must be a way that you could have a general crowd noise and then people sitting with buttons so that when somebody gets near the goal, you make it rise. When somebody scores, people cheer. You need crowd noise. I saw in Germany they'd done this really clever thing. Somebody come up with an app. And what happens is when you're sitting at home watching the football, like the Bundesliga, behind closed doors, you make the noises you normally would make when you're watching football, but it all gets sort of aggregated and broadcast out to everybody, which is genius.
That's brilliant, because I think it'd be really. I think if you tried to simulate and have sort of had canned cheers, I think it would be yeah, it'd be
better than silence. Better than silence, Rob. Honestly.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Anyway,
but just on this, have you seen the clips of the WWF? No, what is it now? I can't remember what it is now. It's WWE wrestling with no crowd.
Not WWF, Rob. That's panda wrestling. That's illegal.
Oh yeah. They should really stop that. They're a charity. The WWE wrestling without a crowd is a very, very strange experience. And if no one's seen it, I'd
just two men having a fake fight.
Exactly, with a referee standing on as they're making these grunting noises. It's very disconcerting.
It becomes quite homoerotic, I think, Rob.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't wrestling I was watching.
Rob, can I just say that I do understand your scepticism about my suggestion about football. I do realise that a lack of crowd noise is something you're very used to as a Swindon Town supporter. But I'm just pointing out that for me, watching a big team like Arsenal, I would like to have the feeling that I'm amongst supporters rather than just standing in the field on my own.
I'm not going to say too much because there's often been a lot of speculation that the Emirates doesn't have much of an atmosphere, but I'm not going to say that.
I went there not long ago, and it's got plenty. Anyway, let's not get into it. All right, okay, fine.
Trust me. When Swindon Town are playing, you'll know about it. Anyway, right. So the K-League club FC Seoul, is it Seoul? I never know how you pronounce that. Seoul, yeah, in South
Seoul,
Korea.
capital of South
Seoul.
Korea.
Yeah.
I've got you for once on a geography question.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, said the dolls which have been dotted around the stadium, currently off limits to supporters due to the coronavirus outbreak, had been inadvertently ordered after a misunderstanding with the supplier.
That's what the husband told the wife. What the fuck is this? Well, what was that phrase? It was an inadvertent misunderstanding due to a problem with the supplier.
Yeah.
That could be your answer for everything, couldn't it? What the fuck is this? Well...
Yeah, I mean,
that's a good episode title, that, Rob.
Yeah, a misunderstanding. Yeah, an inadvertent misunderstanding with the supplier. So earlier this month, the K-League became the first major football league to hold matches since the start of the pandemic, with the season's opening game watched by a worldwide audience of fans starved of live football. But FC Seoul's attempt to bring back a touch of realism to Sunday's match against Gwangju FC backfired after social media users noticed that mannequins looked like sex dolls. Some pointed out that several were holding posters carrying the name of popular live streamer BJ Charo, reportedly the physical inspiration for the doll's design, according to the Kurobu website. The club said it had been a victim of a mix-up, insisting that it had checked with the supplier and received assurances that the dolls were not intended for sexual use.
But the trouble is, when a mannequin arrives with... orifices, shall we say, then you've got a sex doll, not a mannequin. Your typical mannequin. Let's not get into it, but you understand my point.
Yeah, exactly. And then FC Seoul basically apologised. We'd like to apologise to the fans. We are deeply sorry. Our intention was to do something light-hearted in these times. We will have a hard think about what we need to do to ensure that something like this never happens again.
Well, it's quite easy. You don't really need to have a hard think about it. Just don't go to a sex doll manufacturer and order their dolls. There's your answer. Exactly.
And also, if nothing else, this is a nice souvenir for the fans. Why not sell branded sex dolls? What's wrong with that? Who doesn't want to see a sex doll dressed in the colours of your team that you can then go and have sex with and feel even more shame at yourself? Anyway,
very good.
Moving on,
Rob. Especially if you're a Swindon Town fan.
Can I just say, by the way, we are, if everything goes to plan, because now the league has voted to terminate the season early, and Swindon will be promoted as champions. Just want to put that out there.
Are you in any kind of financial difficulty as a result of COVID-19?
I'd prefer not to answer that question.
Okay.
Basically, our chairman's come out and said apparently that unless we manage to buy a supplier, we'll go into administration, which will be for the third time and could result in a winding up order. But let's not worry about that at the moment. Anyway, so my next story... Oh, God, it's always something of Swindon. My next story is from the New York Post by Isabel Vincent from the 2nd of May.
Do you ever feel supporting Swindon, Rob, that you're just going round and round and round and round?
Yeah, very much so. It just feels like we're just ping-ponging between League One and League Two. I mean,
I was making a joke about the amount of roundabouts in Swindon. Sorry, listeners.
Very clever, Alex. Yeah.
It's quite high caliber joke there, so yeah. Anyway, your next story.
Yeah. So, the headline.
Where's it from?
Woman ordered... from the New York Post.
Oh, okay.
Woman orders bogus AirPods off Amazon, bigger than her head.
I mean, look, I'm wearing a pair of AirPods now. For those to be bigger than your head, what the fuck are you talking about? The phrase, has she got a very small head?
No, they are huge. They're like comical. They're so big, it's ridiculous.
Well, are they like stuffed? Are they like fluffy toys or something?
No, they look like
massive plastic.
They're massive plastic AirPods.
So they look like a hairdryer.
Yeah, exactly, and that's mentioned in this story.
Off Amazon. So, how much did she pay for these, first of all? Does it say?
$62.
Whoa! Then you would think that... I mean, look, it's still cheap for AirPods, but you might think that you're getting some kind of knockoff Oh my... What? I mean, but who's made... What I understand is... I don't understand this, Rob. Surely it would cost less for the supplier to just make some cheap knockoff imitation AirPods than it would to make these giant plastic things and sell them online.
Alex, I'm assuming that these don't play any music. I imagine they're just hollow.
Okay, why didn't they just make small ones that were hollow? Why make massive ones? They must have been originally made for some other purpose. This is bizarre.
The only thing I can think, Alex...
Or maybe they belong to a giant.
Maybe. I was going to say maybe there's been a misunderstanding with the supplier, and unfortunately the estimates have been grossly overestimated, and that's why they're so big.
Rob, do you believe in giants?
I mean, well, it depends, but I mean, obviously there are giant people.
I just threw that in there. So far we've had an arm, and then we've had it depends.
Yeah, because my point being, there are people out there that would be technically classed as giants. Like there wasn't a man in the States like there's like 8 foot.
I didn't mean that. I mean, do you believe in giants, like Jack and the Beanstalk giants?
No, of course not. Why would
you? The Bible does say in Genesis that in the early days of the formation of the earth, that giants roamed the earth. That was some weird, like offspring of sort of spiritual entities mating with humans. Did you know that?
I can't say I did, but I'm not taking Genesis as a factual account of giants. Just putting that out there. I'm going to take a very firm stand on that. Okay, I'm going to say it that if they existed, I'm not going to take my evidence from the Book of Genesis.
Okay.
Come at me if you think I'm wrong. Anyway, so maybe the AirPods
just lost us a lot of listeners, Rob.
I know there are a lot of Book of Genesis fans out there, but. But I do wish they would leave it off the forum. I know you're fans of the Book of Genesis, and I appreciate that you love all the Adam and Eve stuff. Right, so maybe they're AirPods for an elephant. So an online shop in Dubai who ordered fake Apple AirPods on Amazon in March was stunned when she opened the package to find they were bigger than her head. I got the AirPods from Amazon last month, said Alizi in a Twitter post last week. I knew they were fake because Amazon sells weird stuff and it wasn't expensive. I was shocked, I was not going to lie, but we move on. She said she spent the equivalent of $62 for the fake AirPods, which normally retail for more than 3 times that price. Her post, which featured a pair of giant AirPods, received more than 72,000 retweets. Most of you are saying it's a hairdryer, but I see it as an ear dryer. I mean, it's quite a shitty joke she said. And that's it. That's the end of that story. It's only very short.
Okay, hang on a second. Is it earpods or AirPods? Which one are we talking about here?
She was making it was AirPods, yeah, not AirPods, AirPods. So I think if you just put maybe fake or woman orders AirPods.
Metro. Oh my god! They're incredibly realistic looking in the sense that they are. So today I received my AirPods. God, these are huge. I mean, bigger than... Yeah, they are absolutely enormous. What would they ever have been used for? Because they're obviously some kind of novelty item. What the... I like the fact that somebody commented on her Twitter feed, are you sure you ordered the right size? Okay, Rob, I'm going to do a story now that I've had knocking around my inbox for ages. And for whatever reason, I just never got round to reading it. But I always kept it because I knew it was brilliant. But so today's the day when I read it out.
Great.
Again, local, from the Westmoreland Gazette, which I believe we have featured before.
We have, yeah, we have.
Maybe
featured.
Not. Okay. It's by Vanessa Sims, regional group editor, and I'm afraid to say, Rob, it's from the 12th of January.
Appalling.
2004. No, that's 2020. It is. This is a quintessential local anaesthetic UK story. I kind of feel like this could only happen in the UK. Headline: Church has car park built around grave.
What?
Mourners were left stunned when a newly laid church car park was built completely surrounding 2 graves.
Fuck off. So you're telling me there's a grave in the middle of a car park?
So basically, I'm looking at a picture of a gravelled car park that's basically just... It's not even that big. It could probably fit around 5 cars. But that's just been built around 2 graves.
I'm going to look this up.
Yeah, do you want to see the picture? Yeah. Put in Westmoreland Gazette, church, car park built around a grave. I mean, it's fucking horrendous.
Oh, that's that's really quite appalling.
So the 80-year-old memorials are marked out by reflective wooden posts to prevent visitors parking their cars on top of them. The late John Yates, who died in 1940, was buried in the plot of St Michael's Church. Another headstone for Joseph Bullock, who died in 1940, aged 68, has been placed next to the grave. Other graves which were dug nearby were relocated in the 70s. But the remains of Mr. Yates and Mr. Bullock were kept where they were. Last week, builders converted a grassy bank by the graveyard into a new car park to accommodate the increasing number of visitors to the church. Bizarrely, the gravel car park was built around the men's final resting places, and Mr. Yates' relatives have placed a notice on his grave, begging drivers to be respectful. It reads, "Please respect my grandfather's grave. Do not drive or walk on it. As you can see, it's been damaged by cars in the past. Thank you very much." Parishioners are split on the decision to surround the graves with a car park. One said, "If one of my relatives was buried there, I'd find it highly disrespectful. You don't want to feel that you are paying your respects to a grave in a car park, because that's exactly
So did you
what it
say
is."
parishioners were split on the idea? So we're quite happy for that to happen.
I know that. Rob, it's the most bizarre piece of planning decision I've ever seen in my life. Look, we've got to fit in this car park. What's the best way to do it? I know. We'll just leave the graves in the middle of the car park. It's horrendous. Churchgoer John Snelson, 45, from Lichfield, said, "I think the fact that the graves are so old means the church had no choice. Before the gravel was laid, you had cars parking all over the place, and sometimes tyres were on top of graves, which is more upsetting for the grieving families." I don't know what it is about this church that people are flocking to it in their droves, but Rob, before they had a car park, people were just rocking up and parking on graves to visit a church. Surely if you're a religious person, your own moral sort of leanings would prevent you from parking on top of a grave.
I'm just imagining there's a really heated parish council whereby someone was saying, "That selfish bastard in the car park is taking up valuable space. Let's just park on top of him and just have done with it."
I think that must have been what happened.
But surely, no, as you rightly say, even from a moral standpoint, these are supposed to be Christians. You can't have thought, well, he's not going to mind. He's dead anyway. I'll just park on top of. It's only going to be an hour or so, isn't it?
Well, apparently a full planning application was made through the local authority and no objections were received.
That's appalling, Alex. That's really quite shocking.
Yes. Nothing more to say, really.
No.
Okay, Rob, have you got a listener story for us? The listener story of the week. Who's it from? Where's it from? What's it about?
So this week, as we haven't had a story from her in some time,
Amy.
It is from Amy. Yeah.
Who isn't our only female listener. I mean, we should say that. She's just the only one who submits stories. Can I just say to people out there listening right now, this is the perfect time during the lockdown for you to go online and look for stories and send them in. I do feel that some people are reluctant to do it because they feel like, what if we don't use it? Or, obviously you want us to do the work. We're doing the podcast. I understand that. But we do love hearing from listeners, particularly new ones who send stuff in. I mean, it really does. I love knowing all the different places in the world people are listening from or around the UK. So do send us your stories.
Yeah, and that's a very valuable point. And we do. We love hearing from our listeners, and especially, as Alex said, from new listeners, because if it's overseas as well, I think that makes it even more, I don't know, it kind of validates what we're doing to some degree.
Yeah.
I meant to say, actually, at the beginning of the podcast, we had a record-breaking day yesterday. We had over 700 downloads in a single day.
That's not bad. Fucking hell. Okay.
No, it was good. It was a good day. Anyway, right. Okay. So now, first of all, this is from the Daily Star. So for listeners who aren't familiar with UK papers, the Daily Star really is, it's not the kind of the paper that you go to for quality journalism. I think you need to take this story with a pinch of salt. I'm
really surprised the Star exists because it's a number of rungs down from the Sun. And that it's a surprise that a paper like that still exists.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because for me, the Daily Star is basically between the Sun and the Sunday Sport, which is just softcore pornography.
And doesn't really have anything to do with sport. Yeah, no. Okay, anyway.
No. So anyway, this is by Christina Yonan from the 9th of May. And the headline: Man dating ghosts fears that she's cheated on. Let me start this again. Sorry.
You're gonna have to. What the fuck? Man dating ghosts. We've had this before, though, haven't we? But okay.
Yeah. Man dating ghosts fears she's cheated on him by bonking other men during lockdown.
Right.
Now, what I love is, and obviously this is a bit tongue-in-cheek, because the first story is him basically sitting with a mask on with his arm stretched out as if his arm was around someone else and him pointing to this blank space.
What kind of mask? Or a gimp mask?
No, just a normal surgical mask, because obviously he's in lockdown. So.
I had a mask, right? But I've lost it. and they're hard to come by. I mean, I don't know where you would even get another one now. But can I just say that, do you reckon that all those people out there who had sort of fetishes, like who wore gimp masks or later, do you reckon some of those just wear those out now?
I mean, Alex, we know this is the case.
Oh, right.
People wearing gas masks and any old shit. That man who was wearing a thong on his face.
Oh, yeah. Where can I get a mask, Rob?
I don't know, Alex. Probably about Amazon.
Have you got a mask?
I have. I'm not sure I should be saying that, so I won't say that. However, one of my colleagues at work...
You got it from your wife's workplace, didn't you?
No.
Right.
Also, one of my colleagues actually made me one, which is really nice for it. It's hand sewn, and it was sent through the post to me.
A female colleague?
A female colleague, yeah. She made one for me and one for Sarah. It was really quite sweet.
Bit odd, if you ask me.
Okay. Right, okay. Well,
I distance yourself from that person.
All right. Well, that's your opinion, Alex. Let's move on with the story. Right, so the coronavirus pandemic has wreaked havoc on relationships. Whilst the outbreak has been a blessing for some couples, others are facing their biggest challenge yet. Gary DeNoyer from New Jersey, USA, has been worrying about the unconventional relationship. He says he's been dating a ghost called Lisa for 2 years.
I just like the idea that you turn up to an event and you introduce your partner.
Yeah, but if you're standing there pointing, pretending you had your arm around someone, pointing at her, say, "Oh, this is Lisa. She says it's lovely to meet you." Would you entertain that person? Would you say, "Hello, Lisa"?
You could also have ghost children, couldn't you? Like, we've got 5 kids here. What do you mean? They're right there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, one of them's just dropped dead. Oh no, she's given birth again. There's another one. You can make up any old. This whole thing's fictitious. Anyway,
it's a bit morbid, that, Rob. But okay.
Well, I say it's fictitious. This man may believe it. Anyway, so the 36-year-old says the relationship is on the rocks due to fears that his ghosty girlfriend is cheating.
Fuck off. On the rocks.
Come on. He may genuinely believe this. In an exclusive interview with the Daily Star Online,
because nobody else would give him a fucking interview, that's why.
The unemployed American opened up about his
Unemployed
troubles.
American. They didn't need to put that one in there, did they? But okay.
No, it's just a kick in the teeth, that. First his girlfriend's imaginary, and now he's unemployed. For the first month in lockdown, Gary said he was inseparable from Lisa.
Can I say I was dating her for 3 months, and then without warning, she just ghosted me.
She just said I couldn't see her anymore.
I know. God, Rob, we're getting into real Ross Abbott, sort of Les Dennis kickabout territory here. This is good stuff.
Yeah, peak of comedy. So apparently he enjoyed plenty of sex with a ghoul, as he had bags of time to spend together. He said at first...
Can you explain to me how you have sex with a ghost? Is it just you rubbing your crotch up against the mattress? I mean, what the fuck is it?
Alex, how dare you? How dare you suggest this is what this man is doing?
No, but what is sex with a ghost? What is it?
Know.
How does it work?
Me? Well, they don't go into that much detail, unfortunately. We have featured ghost sex on this podcast before.
We have. I wish we could reel out what episodes they were, because they were brilliant. But you can always go on the website and trawl through Rob's descriptions, and then you can see which episode we featured, because that was fucking comedy gold. Anyway, back to this disturbed man.
Yeah, okay. He said at first we spent every day together for a month. Jersey City was an epidemic early on during this, especially where we live. And by nature, I'm a very anxious person. On top of not being able to see my family or my nieces, I was feeling very afraid.
Well, no wonder you've got a fucking ghost living with you. I've been fucking afraid too. I'd wake up in the night screaming.
Alex, I'm usually the strong one in the relationship, but I was too overwhelmed to hold it together. In that month, Lisa was my rock. So there's you mocking, saying there's a ghost in his house, but that ghost was holding it together for him.
And was called Lisa. Lisa the ghost.
Lisa the ghost. She helped me cook and fold laundry, watch loads of TV, and obviously have sex all the time. It was fun, but exhausting.
Oh, God, it's really disturbing, this, isn't it, Rob? Because it's just an image of him. Oh, I mean, can you imagine seeing a camera on this guy? I mean, we wouldn't want to, Rob, but this man
masturbating solidly for 24 hours a day.
While talking to a fictitious person called Lisa.
Whilst cooking, folding laundry and other things.
Exactly.
I'm not in great shape, but it was hard to keep up. Being on strict lockdown, we had to find creative ways to be sexually adventurous.
What the fuck is he talking about?
Okay, well, there's more. The couple weren't just getting naughty under the sheets. Gary said he shared an intimate moment with Lisa on the roof of their building, which really concerns me.
So he was just on the roof on his own, masturbating.
Banging one out, yeah. He was just masturbating on the roof of his building, apparently under the impression that he was having sex with a ghost. And on another occasion, they apparently had sex on a pizza counter. Don't know where the pizza counter was, but something needs to be cleaned.
So he turned up at a pizzeria and jacked one off over. Sorry to be explicit, but over the pizza counter. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm really concerned now. He was just gone to collect the pizza and was just masturbating in the shop by himself.
How has this man not been arrested, Rob?
Yeah, it's a good question.
What I'd love is, Rob, if he went to prison, right, and he gave an interview and he said how hard it was being separated from Lisa. And somebody had to point out to him, look, mate, because she's a ghost, you can just have her in your cell with you. She's a figment of your imagination.
Alex, he doesn't believe this. So he continues, this past month, she's over all the time. Never tells him where she... Oh, sorry,
she doesn't live with him. He's now claiming that she visits. She's got her own ghost apartment, has she?
Yeah, she's been going out, and he says she never tells you where she's going. Just says she's going out with her friends.
She just says
she could be anywhere.
Hang on,
with anyone.
She just says ooh and disappears. It's my ghost impression. I think I featured it on the podcast before. It disturbed you then. It looked like it disturbed you now.
Alex, he clearly says that she is telling him she's going out with friends, but he's saying
ghost
she could
friends?
be out with anyone. Ghost friends.
So he suspects she's
friends.
cheating. As he sat down and talked about it to her, communication is the foundation of a healthy relationship.
She could be anywhere with anyone, and I've always felt secure in our relationship, but lately we haven't been having that much sex. I'm worried that she's cheating on me. She says I'm paranoid. I mean, I'm not crazy, am I? It just makes sense. I can't understand wanting...
Sorry. This man is claiming that his ghost girlfriend has called him paranoid.
Yes.
And perhaps a fantasist.
I mean, I'm not crazy, am I? It just doesn't make any sense. I can understand wanting space,
it makes
but
sense.
something just feels off.
Sorry, did he just say something feels off? It makes sense if you accept the fact that Lisa doesn't exist.
I'm really concerned about this man, Alex. However, just to conclude the story, because I realise we've been going on for a long time. Despite his cheating fears, Gary, who celebrated his 36th birthday on Monday, planned a special day with Lisa. He revealed, we plan to have a Star Wars and sex marathon.
This man, right, I'm beginning to understand why this man might not have a proper girlfriend.
Yes, yeah.
Because his idea of sort of, I don't know, like this romantic relationship, obviously sex is a part of a healthy relationship, but he seems to be rather obsessed with it to a degree of... You know, like the pizza counter, the roof, like the special day is Star Wars and sex marathon. I mean, I have to say, as a fan of both of, you know, those sort of activities, I mean, it does sound rather attractive, but the marathon, sorry, marathon sex with the ghosts.
While Star Wars plays in the background.
Oh, God, Rob.
So the story just concludes.
Can I just say, Rob, you know, he's concerned about her cheating. Could he not get a, secretly film Lisa? Can you imagine hiring a private investigator and so the guy's like, right, tell me all about her. I'm going to find out if she's cheating on you or not. Right, she's called Lisa. How tall? 5'8". Right, and you get what colour hair. You tell her everything. Anything else I should know about her? Like right at the end of this, she's a ghost.
At which point he just closes his notebook and walks out.
Yeah. Or depending on how scrupulous he is, says, "Do you know what? I'll take the case."
Then ask for a deposit up front.
You can just make up any old shit.
Yeah, I mean, literally, surely he could literally just phone this in. He could just say that she's anywhere. So the story just concludes. Things may not be smooth for the couple right now, but we hope Gary and his partner will be in good spirits again soon. Pardon the pun.
Well, Rob, on that delightful story, we do leave this episode of LA Podcasts behind. Well, not quite yet. It doesn't really work this because we have the end segment, but we begin bringing it to a close anyways. We look forward with a mixture of eager anticipation yet trepidation to our next episode, which will be episode 315. Of course, our next episode technically will be an episode of Daft Talk, but after this it will be 315. Rob, as we move ever more forward, like what stories have we had this week, Rob? I feel like we're getting worse at this as the weeks go on. Like you just had the look of a look of sheer panic on your face. What have we talked about? We had King Jong-un.
Yeah.
We had all those animals dying. We had
a slaughter. We had
the man in the Tesco Express. What were your stories?
The grave, the car park in the grave. There was the Seattle football team with the sex dolls. There was the woman with the earpods even, and the ghost girlfriend.
We move ever more forward, like Lisa, the ghost girlfriend, packing her things, sick of her partner's paranoia, and moving out. Sad, really, Rob.
It is. It's a tale as old as time.
Just like that, we move ever more forward to episode 314. Look, we're on our website, lapodcast.net. From there, you can manually download if you like that kind of thing. Sounds like a fetish, doesn't it now? I've made it sound like a fetish. People who like to go onto our website and manually download files. Cool. Well, you can download them all there. But of course, the easiest way to do it is just listen to it on whatever podcast app you're doing. But what we want you to do is leave us a review, hit subscribe, all that good stuff. We're on Spotify. We're on Twitter at LA Podcast. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LA Podcast. You want to submit us a story, you can send it to us via Twitter at LA Podcast. You can post it on Facebook, or you can email us the good old-fashioned way, lapodcast.net@gmail.com. That is lapodcast.net@gmail.com. That's right, there are 2 dots in there. Right, Rob, you have, been unprofessional because you've completely forgotten this week to cover the headlines that never made it.
Yep, true.
But luckily, I have a bumper crop. And I'm going to tell you, Rob, quite deliberately, they're going to become increasingly more, what would be the word? I don't even think the word disturbing covers it. They're going to become increasingly dark.
Okay.
First off, Rob, from the Mirror. So these are the headlines, listeners, which never made it, never featured as stories, because the headlines tell you everything you really need to know. Blood-sucking flies that target crotches to thrive during this week's heatwave. Just what we needed, Rob.
Well, that's something to look forward to, I must admit.
Yeah, apparently
it'd be good for that man.
Apparently the hot weather
with his ghost girlfriend.
Apparently the hot weather is expected to encourage swarms of Blandford flies which gorge on human crotches. So look forward to that, Rob. This is from America. Police officer dodges flying feces as shoplifter projectile poops all over Walmart, claiming to have coronavirus.
I mean, what else can you expect in Walmart, to be fair?
That was in a South Carolina Walmart. Naked people found wrestling in car outside Florida Mall during fight about pee napkin, police say. And just a bit of detail, police say a couple found naked and wrestling in their car park outside a Florida Mall got into a fight about a pee napkin.
What's a pee napkin?
Apparently, after they had sex, they sort of used tissues to sort of clean afterwards. But I think she urinated a bit over the tissue, but then put it into his lap, and they got into a huge argument about this pee napkin, and police had to be called.
Disgusting.
It's the kind of thing that you get off Tiger King, really.
Yeah.
Another US story. Police Mustang driver said he didn't stop because he thought troopers wanted to race. It's a great excuse, isn't it?
It really
you start being chased by you start being chased by state troopers on a freeway, and you say, "Well, I thought you wanted to race."
I mean, it seems like a legitimate excuse to me.
I loved this story. I mean, it would be good to go into detail, but I mean, anyway, the Palestinian Authority, Rob, praises, in quotes, the liberating semen of terrorists will punish doubters. Allegedly, Walid Daka was able to smuggle his semen out of prison and produce a child. And the Palestinian Authority have hailed it to be liberating semen.
Sorry, what an episode title that would be. The liberated semen of terrorists
will punish doubters. Yes, absolutely. And last two, Rob. Singapore. Man sentenced to death in Singapore on Zoom call. So basically they're doing the court proceedings over Zoom, so he was put to death over Zoom. I have to say, I hope that isn't the way things turn with this sort of remote working, because that would be quite perturbing, I have to say.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I also saw that story, but I didn't actually read what he'd done, and I'm concerned it's something quite low level.
And I'm afraid my last headline, Rob, will probably be the darkest headline we ever featured, ever, but and probably ever will, but I think it perfectly represents so much about today's current times. I'll just read it out. Colombian company creates hospital beds that can double as coffins.
Fucking hell. been a really enjoyable episode. Hope the listeners are really G'd up from this, and this is how we're finishing.
Well, we do really appreciate you listening. We hope you come back for more good time fun next episode. Look, next episode is going to be episode 7 of Daft Talk. We're going to be back for that. We're enjoying that immensely. We know people are really enjoying it too. And after that, we'll be back for episode 315 of LA Podcast. Thank you again. We have really enjoyed your company. It's been a great episode, and we look forward to seeing you all again next week. God bless.
And keep it local.